Good afternoon, everyone. I'm showing 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'd like to welcome you to the webinar titled, Are You Compliant with Mexico Customs? Today's webinar is sponsored by Scarbrough University was founded in 2006 with a mission to provide necessary, relevant, and continuing education to Scarbrough employees, clients, and professionals engaged in international and domestic trade and logistics. This webinar does qualify for CCS and CES continuing education credits through the National Customs Brokers and Forwarders Association, NCBFAA. My name is Kevin Ekstrand. I'm a licensed customs broker and certified customs specialist. I have the privilege of being Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Scarbrough International, and it is an honor to be with you today. This is an interactive webinar, and we are here to answer your questions, so please submit questions. You will find the Q&A button at the top or bottom of your screen. Your questions will appear for the audience to see, so you may choose to show your name or be anonymous. Our speaker is going to pause throughout the session today to answer your questions, so please be listening and thinking of questions while he's speaking, and go ahead and type in those questions as they come to you. And as we get to a stopping point and the speaker will pause, we'll answer those questions for you, and/or he may answer them later on as well. So anyways, we'll go ahead and ask those questions. Please also note that you can easily adjust your windows on your computer. Please click on the top of the video portion to maximize or minimize this piece of the webinar. So while you're adjusting your screens and posting your questions, I'll take a minute to introduce you to Scarbrough. Scarbrough is a full-service logistics company that has been operating for over 32 years. We are headquartered in the heart of America, Kansas City, where faith, family, and hard work make for a great organization. We also have offices in Chicago, St. Louis, Des Moines, New York, Dallas, Laredo, and Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, where Scarbrough de Mexico operates as a customs broker and freight forwarder. With these offices and our network partners around the world, we were able to take care of all your logistics and regulatory needs. We are truly a great partner to our clients. We collaborate, stand by their side, and actively participate in their growth opportunities by helping them navigate import and export regulation around the world. We value each and every partnership, along with each and every relationship we build along the way. As always, I would like to thank each of you for being here today. So let's begin. It's a privilege to introduce you to the president of the Zisser Customs Law Group, Attorney Steve Zisser. Steve and his group specialize in import and export law. They have earned the respect and business of many of the largest Fortune 500 businesses engaged in trade, are heavily involved in both U.S. and Mexico trade associations, and are a leader in training and education as well. I guarantee you will walk away today knowing more than you knew before. As promised, Steve, I will turn it over to you as I have set the stage high and the bar high for you today. So take it away and look forward to learning from you.
Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate it, and welcome everybody. Again, my name is Steven Zisser. I'm a customs attorney. I specialize exclusively in the area of primarily U.S. customs. We also do a lot of Mexican customs work. Joining me today in this short session that we have is our good friend Juan Moreno.
Morning, everyone. Juan Moreno, Director of Trade Compliance. Also very experienced in dealing with Mexico. I actually lived down there and started my career working it's primarily a maquiladora for about 8 years. So I handled 31 different importers dealing with a multitude of different compliance issues.
Yeah, I mean, for most of you who don't really know us, we're actually located down here in San Diego, California. We're actually here in an area called Otay Mesa, which is a commercial border crossing with Mexico. We get about close to about 2,000 to 3,000 trucks in and 2,000 to 3,000 trucks out every single day here at this crossing. Not as large as the Laredo crossing in terms of volume, but I think we're number 2 in the country in terms of actual commercial activity. Our offices, we can see Mexico from our office. We're actually 1 block from Mexico. So we do a lot of work in Mexico. We do a lot of managed services in Mexico, working with maquiladora companies on terms of Mexican customs compliance. We do a lot of compliance and opportunity audits down in Mexico, and we handle a lot of other Mexican customs related issues. We have a whole legal team down there in Tijuana. They also have offices in Monterrey and offices in Mexico City, handling a lot of the more complex issues you deal with in Mexico. Now today, in the short amount of time that we have, we're going to go ahead and cover a short amount of stuff, and you can go ahead and change the screen to the next one. But what we're going to talk about today is really talking about EMEX compliance 101. We're really going to talk about how you can comply and how you can audit those operations in Mexico. Now, a couple of reasons why a lot of you are here today. I know we have a pretty good mix of people. We have some of you that do have Mexican operations. I know some of you don't. Number one reason you're probably here today is you don't want your operations to lose cost advantages or be shut down. Certainly, a Mexican manufacturing operation generally is going to be controlled and managed by either a U.S. entity or another foreign entity, and typically it's a production center. And so you want to make sure that everything is being optimized, everything's being taken care of. The rules of Mexico are constantly changing.
Yes, they are.
That is a big challenge with Mexico. Is in the U.S. we see a lot more stability in the rules, but in Mexico that's not the case. In fact, not only do they change very quickly. In fact, they'll come up with something, and while in the U.S. it could take months, in Mexico it can literally take a week, and all of a sudden it becomes effective. You don't want any surprises in Mexico. That's the big thing. You don't want any unexpected costs or penalties. The big thing in Mexico, if you kind of screw it up, you could have certainly some large costs and certainly some large penalties, and Mexican customs is not hesitant at all to do those things. Now, a lot of you on this call are definitely focused, we know, on U.S. compliance. Well, our view is if you're focused on U.S. compliance, you should also be taking care of your Mexico operation the same way. The same way that you manage compliance on the U.S. side, you should equally manage compliance on the Mexico side. And ultimately, the real objective with any operation down in Mexico is to save money and reduce costs. And all maquilas have that opportunity. You want to make sure you're always optimizing all of those cost reduction and cost saving opportunities. We do see a number of maquilas that are sometimes paying costs or incurring certain expenses, and then when you go look at that, you're saying, why are you doing that? You don't really need to be paying those costs. There are ways you can save and reduce those monies. They just don't know how. So what we're going to do today is we're going to share with you some strategies, some specific auditing strategies that you can do to really come into your operation and look at these things. Now, these auditing strategies, in our opinion, should be done at least once a year, if not more frequently, but at least once a year. And primarily because operations down in Mexico are dynamic, constantly changing. Your sourcing is changing, your production operations is changing, the mix of products that you're dealing with is changing. Don't assume anything. Always check, verify, validate, and doing these audits on a regular basis is really going to keep you in tune. Now, the audits that we're going to describe today are audits that you can do yourself. You can bring in an outside third party, but these are the same kind of audits that if Mexican customs were to come and take a look, this is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to look at the same things. And so you really want to be on par with those kinds of parts of your operation.
Next slide, please.
Okay, so what we do is we promise to share with you a 7-point strategy to audit your Mexico operations for trade compliance and for opportunities. As I said, you're looking for 2 things when you audit. One is, are you compliant with the requirements? And number 2, are you optimizing all the opportunities to save money and reduce costs? I will tell you that trade compliance is important, but those opportunities are probably even more important because saving money and reducing costs is really the only reason you're in Mexico to begin with. So when you do an audit with these strategies, you really want to get both benefits simultaneously. I can't discount that at all. Those are certainly going to be pretty important.